Happy Thursday. My name is Kristin Gorter. I am Director of Connections, and we are continuing in Acts. And today I will be reading from chapter 12, verses 20 through 25. I'm going to read them really quick, and then we'll get into some of the takeaways from this passage. It says, "He, being Herod, had been quarreling with the people of Tyre and Sidon. They now joined together and sought an audience with him. After securing the support of Blastus, a trusted personal servant of the king, they asked for peace because they depended on the king's country for their food supply. On the appointed day, Herod, wearing his royal robes, sat on his throne and delivered a public address to the people. They shouted, 'This is the voice of God, not a man.' Immediately Herod did not give praise to God, and an angel of the Lord struck him down, and he was eaten by worms and died. But the word of God continued to spread and flourish. When Barnabas and Saul had finished their mission, they returned from Jerusalem, taking with them John, also called Mark." So what's happening here is there's a couple of nearby cities, and they are dependent on Herod for their food supply. For whatever reason, they've offended Herod, and they're going to him to seek peace. When they meet with Herod, they decide to use flattery, and they start calling him a god. Now, when Herod hears this, he doesn't correct them. He doesn't give praise to God. Instead, he accepts it, and God strikes him dead. And it's interestingly punctuated by saying that the word of God continued to spread and flourish. So what's happening here? I think there's two things we can really take away from this passage. At first, on the surface level, it seems there's nothing here for us, but I think there's two really important things. First, the officials from Tyre and Sidon, they are going to Herod because Herod supplies their food. They're dependent on Herod for their food and provision. First, I want to ask ourselves, who do we believe that we are dependent on for providing for us? Do we think it's our jobs? Do we think it's our government? Do we think it's our family members? Who do we attribute our provision, our sustainers? And I think that here that Tyre and Sidon make a mistake in going to Herod and considering him their ultimate provider and needing peace with him. Instead, they should be seeking peace from God, who is truly their provider and their sustainer. So I think that's really the first one, the first takeaway that we can from here, and ask ourselves, who do I turn to? Who do I believe is my sustainer? I know so many of us, myself included, in word, I attribute my provision to God, but in belief and in action, I often think it's what I do that provides for me. It's my work that brings in money. It's my fill in the blank that provides my family with safety, comfort, you name it, instead of attributing that truly and rightfully to God. The second thing I think we can take away from this passage is Herod is flattered. They come to him with flattery. And the thing about flattery is it is meant to manipulate. But here, Herod, he ignores the manipulation and he accepts it. He's like, yes, I am God. I am a God. You are dependent on me like God, and I am God. Instead of pointing them to who is truly God. Herod knows who God is. He is not in the dark about this, but he ignores the rightful position of God in his life as the one who has made him king and is in fact giving him life in that moment. He doesn't attribute that to God at all, and he doesn't point the people who are under him, he doesn't point them to God. And so that's, I think, the second thing we can really pull from this. The first being who is our provider, and who is truly our God. And I think so often we believe, or we even act, whether we say we believe it or not, we act as though compliment our position, our jobs, whatever we have, whatever position we're in, we attribute it to ourselves and what we've accomplished, and instead of attributing it to God and giving Him the glory for where we are at in life and what we have in life. So often when something is taken from us, we attribute that to God. Why, God, would you take this from me? But we don't attribute it to Him when it's given to us. Here, Herod he's a king. He's in a position of power, of authority, of wealth and riches, and he doesn't attribute that to God. He attributes that to himself. Yet God here is showing him, no, in fact, He is the one who put Herod where he is at, and He is the one who can take it away, and He does in this passage. So at the end of it, like I said, it finishes with the word of God continued to spread and flourish, and I think that is just so beautiful. Despite what's going on in the cities, the turmoil, a king suddenly dying, God is at work. He is in the midst of us. He is bringing people to Himself left and right and showing His mercy and His goodness, and people are acknowledging that. And I think that's really the third thing we can take away from this passage is that God is at work. We are not alone, and He is our provider, and He has blessed us with what we have, and we in turn can give that back to Him in praise and worship. So I hope that really encourages you this week. I hope you guys have a great week.